Hey everyone, Stacy Casson here, also known as the Clarity Concierge. For those of you who can't see me, I am a very tanned woman with short, wavy salt and pepper hair. I have a white flower in my hair. I'm wearing clear glasses and I have a dark navy blue top. I am against a red background with my cute little Clarity Concierge logo. In the background, it's yellow with me holding some cards. And before we get started, let's take a moment to arrive and be present. And you can join me and take a deep breath in and exhale. Deep breath in and exhale. Deep breath in and exhale. So before we get started, just take a moment and notice how you are. We've taken the breaths. Note if there's any, I hope I made sense, if there's any tension or feelings or sensation in your body. Like I have a lot of tension in my neck, but that's okay. And we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll begin with our Pokemon card of the day for this live. And we have if I absolutely relate to this Pokemon. It is a sloth. Oh, let me move this down. It's a sloth and it is kind of beige with gray stripes. It has a red like baboon butt and it is dragging on the ground, just looking like how I feel, honestly. I just want to be a slackif today. But here I am. It eats just 3 leaves in a day. It is satisfied. Other than that, it sleeps for 20 hours a day. So I would recommend maybe looking into rest, relaxation. Oh, hey, Perkins, welcome to the party. Yeah, so I'm totally down for the Slackif Pokemon card today. And again, you can put any questions in the chat. Until then, I'm going to go to one about comfort and finding comfort today. I think Slackif is a great way to start us off about finding comfort and rest. Absolutely overdue for some rest. My head is killing me, but that's okay. So I find comfort now. And we have the Steel Energy Pokemon. It's a gray card with a glowing steel sphere with an upside down triangle with brackets around the corner. And for me, this just screams set boundaries, take us, just shut it down. Like that to me is how you can find comfort now. You can look at something different, if something different comes to mind. But when I'm seeing this card today, I'm just reminded of locking myself out, uh, locking myself up, putting up the walls, the boundaries, the barriers, disengaging so that I can rest, being present with myself. I mean, that's not easy to do with a live, but that's the vibes I'm getting from this particular card. So let's think about, okay, well, that will bring immediate comfort to put up some boundaries and lock off from the world. But it's just us today, so that's totally cool. So then, what might I do right now to support my well? So this is something like if you are maybe just in crisis or you're overwhelmed, what are some things that can bring you comfort and help you to navigate as you're going through this? So we had the big old, to me, pause button. And then we have the Grass Energy Pokemon card. It's a green card with a glowing green sphere and a black leaf. And for me, this means do what it takes to get grounded. I love to take this card literally and just go out in nature if that is available to you. Green is also the heart chakra. So, what are some things for self love? I've seen different somatic techniques, and one is kind of like giving yourself a hug. And then this one was from a K drama, but I've also seen it on Instagram. But you give yourself a hug, and then you just kind of pat your shoulder or pat it together, whatever feels comforting to you. And this is another way that you can maybe self soothe. Take some deep breaths and go out in nature. Maybe eat something nourishing, something that makes you feel more in balance, and always breathe. So that's something that can support your well being right now. And sometimes when we have so much things going on, we might need to release some things. So, what are some things you can let go of right now? And we get Growlithe. Growlithe is a dog with it's kind of orange with tiger stripes and like a white beard and a little mohawk and a big plush tail. Growlithe is sitting in us and has a red glow around it with cloudy skies. It's a fire energy Pokemon card. And fire to me thinks of things to kind of burn you up. This particular, like burning away the dross. It's very friendly and faithful people. It will try to repel enemies by barking and biting. So when we're thinking of letting go of what no longer serves me, maybe let go of some of those enemies. Let go. I mean, with this fire energy Pokemon card, Growlithe kind of looks smug and like on his own, and maybe like let go of the idea that you have to handle this all by yourself, and it's okay to seek out community or spend time with your pet, or spend time alone, like either one. Let go of this idea that have to you have to be, I don't know, miserable, or you need to suffer. What are the things you can burn away that, like I said, are no longer serving you as we are on this journey together looking for comfort. That's what immediately comes to mind. Kicking ourselves when we're down, we don't need to do those kind of things. And then what can I do to lift myself up? So we've hopefully found some avenues of support and centering and letting go, releasing some things. So what are some things that can help us lift ourselves up? And yay, we get the fairy energy of how important loving yourself. I'm going to highlight this. This is a great point from Perkins. How important loving yourself is. If I really recently did something and got words from friends, it made me feel a lot of love. So yeah, so my one of my guests, P, was having a bad week, and having friends and a community really help them. So we don't have to go it alone. So yeah, do thanks to people around me doing things you like. That's awesome. And the other thing that can help with that is the fairy energy Pokemon card. For me, this is about healing. It's a pink card with a glowing pink sphere and a kind of stylized flower. For me, that's like a tulip, and the petals look like hands, and there's either a bud or a star, a diamond, or a brain synapse in the center, but it looks like something cradling. And that's a great point. Thank you for the reminder about our environment, which I think kind of comes back to that leaf energy, grass energy Pokemon card. Take your environment. Are you in a comforting place? Or maybe you need to shift spaces go, I don't know, cuddle up in your bed or in the comfy chair. Take a walk if you're stuck in an office, or I like to just go to the bathroom and wash my hands and check in with myself while I'm my hands. Like, hey self, how you doing? Like, we're not that great today. And that's totally fine. But that's an excellent point. Thank you so much for sharing that. So hopefully everybody is feeling a little more comforted right now. And again, if you don't think of any questions, that's totally fine. I'm just checking any of the other spaces have anything, and I don't see anything right now. So that's totally cool. Um, yeah, so we're going to just sit with that for a second, sit with that healing energy. Yeah, the outside influence is very relevant. Oh, great one. I'm going to highlight this one too. So, our environment is also the people that surround you with. Are you surrounded with people that are tearing you down or people that are lifting you up? Are you around supportive people, or again, people that always tell you the worst case scenario? So, that's another good option. So, thank you so much for sharing that one. And another one that will reflect on is maybe abundance. We're slacking, and I think it's hard to relax and take that time to ourselves because we're in a society that tells us we always have to be productive and make a lot of money or whatever. So I think the first thing we should do is kind of define what abundance means for ourselves. And we get the crushing hammer. And for me, it's a red mallet. It looks like kind of like a pokeball, so the edges are red and the middle is black, and it is crushing what seems to be like glass. So I get the feeling of like a glass ceiling, these these constraints that society puts us when we want to define abundance. I'm reminded of the story. It's some old adage where there's like a wealthy businessman and he's fishing in the ocean and he sees this like little fisherman, and he tells the fisherman, hey, you should go get some boats and you can make a business. And the fisherman's like, why would I want to do that? He's like, so then you can, grow a fleet and hire other people and make a lot of money. And he's like, okay, and then why would I want to do that? He's like, so then you can go relax and fish. And the fisherman's like, that's what I'm doing. I'm not doing a good job of telling the story, but a lot of the times we're we're happy if we recognize what's around you. Like, once you're asleep, to me, maybe I'm wrong because I don't sleep on 5,000 count per kale sheet, but like, you're asleep, you're asleep. And I think it's more when we compare ourselves to other people that we start to feel as if we have lack. And there's so many things that we have to be grateful for. I personally define abundance as having people that care about me, and I like the simple things in life. I'm rid of stuff. We have so much stuff. I'm being overwhelmed with abundance. So, how do you define abundance, and maybe breaking those paradigms of what society defines it to be? Anytime I have enough food to eat, I feel like I'm in abundance. When I compare, this is a one few times I will compare myself to others that maybe don't have as much to eat. And then, how confident am I in my ability to have abundance in my life? And this one, we get the dark energy Pokemon with the little comet. So it's a dark navy blue card with a blue sphere and a crescent moon. And I think that there's still some self talk there. For me, the dark energy is kind of like, what are the undercurrents, and especially around mindset, maybe those thoughts and ideas that you aren't aware that you have. Yesterday, I was talking about the victim mentality. And so things like my cat waking me up, it's not, okay, the cat's an animal and it probably wants to go outside, it's, oh, why is a cat picking on me? Oh, fiddle-dee-dee, right? And that's kind of like a victimity, and I wasn't aware of those circumstances with it. So that's something to, when we're talking about this confidence, is your mindset as strong as you think it is? Or are those old programmings, things we've learned from childhood? Again, the environment that we talked about, are those some of the things that are jeopardizing our ability to find abundance? Yeah, learning to accept what you have achieved is valuable and a step to self love. That's an excellent point. I'm going to highlight that one. So, yeah, and that will help us to build on these things. When I recognize all the things that I have, it just, I see the world in a different way versus when I'm focused on everything that's going wrong. Take a sip of water. You're on fire with the insights today, Mr. Perkins. And then what can I be grateful for right now? Right? That's exactly what you're talking about. And this one we have Gumi. I'm going to turn off the comments. We can create and achieve whatever we want, but it's also up to us to find its worth. Absolutely. So we have Gumi. Gumi is a dragon type Pokemon, and he's surrounded by leaves and actually kind of runs away and hides. Hey, Apple, welcome to the party. We're just taking your questions. Right now, we're talking about abundance, but if you have a question, you can put it in the chat, and I will do my best with the help of our Pokemon friends to answer them for you. So right now, we're focused on what are the things that we can practice being grateful for right now. And Gumi's cute. I mean, it runs and hides a lot, but I just look at it and it still seems kind of snuggly and cuddly. The horns have horns are powerful sensors, and if they pick up signs of enemies, they go into hiding. So I think it's good to be grateful for acknowledging your intuition, acknowledging your sense of self-preservation. That's something to be grateful for. And surrounded kind of by these vines. So just comfort, this kind of little cozy blanket. I mean, that could be its body, but I just get feelings of blankets. And when you do this on your own, if you happen to like intuitive tools, just go with whatever comes to mind for you. So that's what, when I think about what I can be for right now, I'm grateful for my intuition and my sense of being connected to the world and other things. And then we can talk about what can I give in order to increase the flow of abundance in my life? How or what can I in order to increase the flow of abundance in my life? And we get the lightning energy Pokemon card. And for me, this is about empowerment. This is about joy. And as Perkins had mentioned earlier, about celebration, giving other people encouragement. When I encourage other people, it makes me happy because they're like, wow, I really needed to hear that. And then everybody gets that, ah, shucks, good, shiny, happy people feeling. So, yeah, and appreciating the things that we do have, as we've talked about earlier. And then how can we be more open to these things? Because a lot of the time we don't trust people, and with good reason. I mean, some people don't have the best intentions. So how can we be more open to receiving that help and support and love and abundance of community from other people? And we have a vitality. This is a card picturing a kind of stone urn. And I just noticed today the lid is kind of rising up a little bit because it's filled with so much life, and this urn sits on like a glowing light. So what are those things that can fill us up till we can't even hold a cap on anymore? And I think it's like literally open yourself up to receive all of these blessings, all the good things that the people who love you want to bestow upon you, and open your heart up to receive love. You might receive some pain, but I don't think there's any perfect situation. Perkins says we undermine the effect we as people have to the ones around us. Yeah. And sometimes, like when we let people in, that gives them the opportunity to give back to other people. Like if you're somebody that always likes to help people, right? Think about how you feel when you help your friends or your loved ones, and what are you taking away from them when you never give them the opportunity to show how much they care? I don't think that's going to build a good relationship, right? Learn to accept gifts, learn to accept what other people want to offer you if it comes from a good place. And yeah, I think sometimes we shut ourselves off from those things. Maybe we don't want to be hurt, or we have been let down before. So great insights. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, we don't want to undermine the ability for people to come to us, and to help us. That's okay. That's why when I have days where I feel like the scum of the earth, I try my friends, because I get they also need positivity. And when you share good vibes, you get kindness back. Absolutely. We went to, I'll share this story with you, Perkins, because I don't think you heard it. We went to pick up some chicken for dinner. And when we got to the plate, it was kind of obvious that everybody there was new. Like when the person ahead of us, because we were going to order some coleslaw, and we heard the person ahead of us say, "No, we don't got any coleslaw today." And I'm like, "Okay, don't order the coleslaw." But all the customers were chill, and we're like, "Okay, we just be chill." And went and we placed our order, and when they started to box it up, the little guy was like, "Okay, this is what I've done. I'm going to mark which," because we had a mix of spicy and mild. Like, this is the one that's spicy and this is the one that's mild. I'm like, "Wow, thank you so much. That really makes a difference." And they said, "Yeah, we try and do things the right way." And we just kept encouraging them and just were, kind to people. Like, this was not the time to put on your "let me speak to your manager," because things were a little hectic, and we were just kind. And guess what? They really like stocked our ghost pepper wings with extra ones just because we were nice. So be nice to people, not to get something back, because you might be pleasantly surprised by sharing those good vibes. Like Perkins, one of my guests, said, you get this back. So highly encourage you to be kind. It doesn't cost you anything to be kind to other people, to take a moment and breathe. And I've been trying to practice de-escalating situations. Take a step back. You don't have to respond right away. Or if you're someone have to respond right away, like maybe by email, send the email to yourself and then read it before you send it out. I've been practicing just taking a breath so other people can get a word in edgewise. So great tip. Thank you so much. Now, I'll give it a second just to let any questions come in while we're on this point of slacking, quote, quote, and relaxing. And I guess I'll do like a start, stop, continue about how we can encourage that inner slack off. My mom, she was joking. She made us this shirt. It was the Lazy Girls Club, and it had like she drew it like a nude lady reclining, and that was supposed to make us feel bad for being quote lazy. But if you are Jamaican out there and have Jamaican parents, you know that they don't like to see people rest. When I have any homework. So what can we do if our goal is to be comforted and not get overwhelmed. Goal is to have less overwhelm in our life. What are some things that we can stop, start, and continue doing to reduce overwhelm? So the first one is stop. The next one is start. And the last one is continue. We're kind of, we got some friends that showed back up from yesterday. So we're starting with continue. And we have the dark energy Pokemon. And again, this is a navy blue card with a black crescent in a glowing sphere. And continue to look for those patterns, those systems that are underlying, again, the thoughts in our head that we have about productivity and certain situations and ideas. So that's something to keep in mind as we're trying to find ways to relax and to not be so frantic, right? It's continuing to look for the underlying situations, right? In certain situations, like the underlying systems and programs that, like, I always say, like, we're a computer, and like, what are the subroutines that are running when you rest? If you just sit down, what are the thoughts that come to your head? When I was better job at chilling, the first, I was like, I'm going to sit still for 30 minutes, and I really should get back to that. That's been a challenge. Maybe when I'm done with all these lives, I'll go back to that and reclaim that time. And we when I sat there, the first couple minutes was literally, oh my gosh, I have this to do. I should be doing this. I need to do this. And it took a few days to get to the point where I just enjoyed the quiet, enjoyed the silence. So those are some things to calm down, to pay attention to in our systems, right? Like, what is happening under the surface, and what are the stories that we tell ourselves about rest? And what do we want to stop doing? We get pincer. Pincer is like it's a grass bug Pokemon. It has these giant horn antlers on the side of its head. Its mouth is vertical and with snapping jaws, and it has pincers for its arm. And I mean, it just looks like it's going to chop your head off. So to me is almost the epitome of the productivity monster. It's like, gotta do more, gotta do more. Hey, Crystal, welcome. Good for you to join us. So we're thinking about how to get more rest and this different ideas of activity and abundance. And any of you that need to retreat, Crystal Carnahan is your woman. She is running this amazing retreat. I think they're going to Costa Rica in June or July. And if you need to tap into yourself, that's a fantastic opportunity to join her in one of her Arise treats. So check out Crystal if that's something that floats your boat. And we definitely don't need the productivity monster in this situation. We can calm down. And then what are the things that we want to start doing? And Houndour. And this is another dark energy Pokemon. And it looks kind of menacing at the start. It is a hound. It's got its teeth bare. It definitely is something that, oh, you're welcome, of course. I'm going to shout out people that I support. And we talked about our community and showing appreciation for the good people in our lives. So I've appreciated our talks, and I think what you're doing is fantastic. So this particular Pokemon, it says around dawn, its ominous howl echoes through the area to announce that this is its territory. I think if we're talking about protecting our peace, it's about protecting our territory. We can start protecting our territory. Ooh, we have some feedback. I see Pincer as charging forward and then determined on moving forward and breaking out of this responsible cycle he was trapped in. So that's a good point when we're talking about the things we want to stop doing. So it sounds like you want to stop the cycle of being trapped in this idea of responsibility and moving forward to where we can get to that Houndor energy, that we're protecting our peace. And Houndor also is part of a pack at times. So it's a hound, it's a pack animal. So not forgetting our people. So yeah, getting into the mentality of not being productive 24/7 and giving our all to break out of that cycle. That's great insight, Perkins. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, so that's basically stop, start, continue. It's a very simple way to look at how you're trying to achieve your goals and what's worked for you in the past. And when we're talking about Slacketh, that was our Pokemon card of the day, taking it easy. Our friends and our relations and our community was a big part of it. So having that community support. Yeah, you're totally on a roll today. 5 stars, high five, virtual high five, buddy. As far as the insights. So I'm so with you on breaking out of that productivity cycle and not apologizing for taking our rest, for needing a moment to husa, for putting up those boundaries and those barriers, um, because we have to change the systems that are at play. So I'm holding up the dark energy Pokemon again. These systems that devalue our rest and make you feel guilty about it, because what does constant productivity do? It serves imperialism. It is an extractive mentality. A lot of the systems that are in place are set up to take out as much as possible and hoard it somewhere else for the benefit of a few. And when we're talking about building community and ourselves, it's about things that are sustainable when we work or when we play, that we're not disadvantaging our friends, our family, other people, and being very mindful in the intentions of what we're trying to accomplish with rest. And rest is absolutely a form of substance. I got the book by Trisha Hershey. She is the founder of the Nap Ministry, and I would love a nap, but I'm going to continue on with this. Yeah. And Crystal puts in sports, recovery is essential for optimal growth. That's an excellent point. Yeah, sometimes building muscle, you do train them to failure, to hit a limit, to hit a wall, and then you have to let them recover. And that's an excellent point. So thank you so much for sharing that as well. Perkins, you got some competition on the insights on the insights today. Yeah, recovery is huge, and I'm absolutely going to recover when I'm done with my marathon of all these lives. And Crystal, I do owe you a DM, but I'm doing a live right now, so definitely we'll catch up to you on that. Any questions? Any other questions? If not, I'll continue with our random polls and see what insights that brings up for you all. So I'll give it a second and drink some water just in case somebody wants to ask a question. Okay, so we're gonna do awesome. We're gonna do my favorite, like when we don't have questions. I like to use Tigro. To me, that's a good format when people don't know what they want to ask, or the surprise me format is what I like to call it. So our topic, that's the T, is the Steel Energy Pokemon, a, a gray card with a steel colored sphere with a inverted triangle and brackets. And some properties of steel is it's a good conductor, it's stronger, it's an amalgamation of different elements. So together they stronger, it's very flexible, it's a good conductor of electricity. For me today, the steel has just been a big old boundaries, containerize it, stop in the path. So for me, a topic might be boundaries, but you all might be something else. Maybe you're trying to get more in the flow and be a good conductor of your energy. Finding what are the blocks to that. That might be something that you all come up with, but there's no right or wrong answers when we're tapping into our intuition today. So there's no right or wrong answers with that. So if you have a different thing, I'm not fully sure about this one, but since the self love talk before, I came up with how can we help others realize their own self worth? I would, it's a good question. Share the positivity to help them see the good in themselves. I don't know if we can change other people's mindset. I mean, yeah, when we give people compliments, they might in the moment say, "Oh, thank you," and be happy. But if that's not the story they're telling themselves, I don't know if it's up to us to make other people change. I would maybe ask, why do we think that we have to be the ones to help others realize their own self-worth? I have a couple friends that every morning they greet me, and one of them has just been telling me really nice things about myself. And it is nice, but the reason I can receive it is because I've been doing that work to see myself as that person. So it's more of a reminder for me that I am that person. Thanks, Crystal. It's more of a reminder for me that I am that person. But if this same person, I've been friends with them for over a year now, and at the beginning of this, I would have been a aw shucks, but continued on the beat Stacy up train. Really not worth it. I'm not lovable. No one really believes this. I'm an imposter. I don't believe this myself. And I don't believe that anymore because I've done the work, because that has not served me. That's not a good place to be. And that's not helping me. I guess I was sick and tired of being tired. So, I mean, I think you have a good intention with that question or comment, Perkins, but I'd push back a little bit as to why do you think you are the person to help them with their self-worth? I definitely have, me personally, I have a little Miss Fix-It complex, and generally that makes things more complicated. I'm not answer that one with the Pokemon, but I'll just give you an example. We were on a walk and our cat was following us, and there's a lot of cats in the neighborhood. And my son was like panicking, like, "Oh my gosh, the cat, like she's gonna get attacked," like that, because that's totally how he talks, not. And so I said, we should just keep walking and she'll either go home or she'll follow us. And he was just, "No, I can't do that." So he turned around and ran to go scoop up the cat. And that just made the cat panic. She then ran under a car, in a parked car, not in the street. She ran and parked under a car in a neighbor's house, and there was a cat there. So now we had the cats kind of doing a standoff, and the situation just got worse because we're trying to help a situation that didn't need any help if we just went with the flow. So that's my 2 cents about your question. I don't think we can help others with their own self-worth. If they receive it, it's because they have helped. I don't think that's something that's up to us to do. And I think that goes back to, in some ways, these boundaries. People have their own boundaries and their own lanes, and trying to force someone into their lane is not going to help. It's not going to help. Trying to tell them, like, I go to get I go to get like my teeth cleaned, and they're like, "Relax your jaw," and it's like, it's not relaxing. They can't force it out of me. Like, it's something that I have to recognize, that I'm in a space, let my body just relax. Even just getting like a manicure, they're like, relax your fingers. And they're just like, weird cloth things. They just don't relax. So I think it's kind of like that situation. People have to do that for themselves. We can't do that for them. We can, support them in ways that they ask for it on a situation, like maybe be an accountability partner, or if they ask you to point out when you notice these things. I mean, that's another way to do it, but they have to come up with those things to help them change. Like, I know I'm trying to apologize. I have a bunch of friends that are like the sorry police. They're like, oh, you did it again. I'm like, thank you. So I hope that answers your question, but I don't think that's something that we can do. That's something that the person has to do for themselves. But good question. It did drive a lot of good conversation. Savasana in yogurt, not yogurt, yoga. Many cannot let go. Yeah, let it go. And I mean, for some people too, like, we understand the words, but we don't comprehend them. I get the idea of let it go. And I'm like, yeah, I've let it go, but I haven't really let it go. I take it right back on. So that's a skill that people have to practice. So thank you for the yoga insight as well, Savasana. Letting it go, it's not just words. We have to put in the work, practice. It could be things like yoga that shift energies. From my understanding of the original intent of yoga, it is kind of a communion. It's a religious practice of sort, to connect you to the Kundalini energy. That's my understanding of yoga. You can look it up and do the research for yourself. So with this idea of, I would say maybe more, how can we as people recognize our own self-worth so that other people will be inspired. But when you see a confident person, a lot of times you're like, boy, I wish I had their confidence. And as my mom would say, if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. But it might be your joy and confidence might be the impetus for someone else to think about, how do I get to that point? I want my life to look like that for me instead of what it is now. And part of it, yeah, when I see other people being confident, walking in their truth, taking a leap of faith, that's a little baby step for me to reflect more and think about, how can I get closer to that? And with that, I mean, looking at Tea Grow for Boundaries, we get the water energy card. And this is a blue card with a blue glowing sphere that looks like a comet with a water droplet in there. And that to me is the goal of starting a change in your life. Water is going beneath the surface. It is about those feelings. For me, you might have a different point of view when you look at water and when you consider water. Water can be about flow. Water fits the container that it's in. Water is patient. Water against a rock, eventually turn that rock into sand. So, what is the kind of goals? Maybe it's eroding those negative beliefs, those self talk that are not helping us to move forward. It's patiently diving into those feelings, doing the work, sitting in that discomfort, going beneath the surface levels to get to what is causing, if we go back to the dark energy Pokemon card, where are those systems and those subroutines, those stories coming from? Are they true? Are they true for us? Maybe they were just a form of preservation. So then, what's the reality of the situation? Like, sometimes I've read something or I've been practicing something and I think I'm doing it, and it might take a few weeks before, oh, that's what that means. That's what it means to sit with yourself, or that's what it means to feel worthy, or that's what it really means to let it go. Sometimes we can know something, but to understand it, to comprehend it, to live it is a different situation. So we get an Magnemite, which is a lightning energy Pokemon, and this particular card has a fun version of it. I haven't seen this version of it before. It's a little round metal ball with two U-shaped magnets for arms, and it's floating around and glowing, and there's little people in the background like looking on in awe. And I love that this one says sparkling induction. So it is about what are the things that you have been attracting into your life? What are the things maybe that you might need to repel? Because your mindset will change how you view things. If you're just looking for the worst in things, you're going to find the worst in things. If you're looking for the best in people or things or situations, you will find it. So your mindset kind of attracts what's coming to you. I've been in situations where it's absolutely miserable, and my manager's like, I want to talk to you, which are the dreaded words in my life, but they they asked, what's going on? You don't seem yourself. And I was just like, I'm feeling really overwhelmed and blase blase. And they just said, okay, well, we'll just come up with names because it's been years since I've been in this situation. But, Jenny and Maria, they have the bandwidth to support you and to, take on some of the things that are challenging you. And absolutely nothing changed. I didn't do anything different. I didn't ask Jenny or Maria for help, but knowing that that was there changed my mindset about my work situation, and I was happier. And most of that was my thoughts about the situation, and knowing that you have some options can attract a different solution. Take a drink of water. So kind of think about how ready are we to close that gap. So what are some ways to go about it to think better of ourselves, again, with the point of attracting people to, hey, I want to be that person and live that life. And we get the Steel Energy Pokemon card again. And I like this one though in relation to the Magnemite, because steel, I believe, is magnetic. And so I think it's a good conductor of electricity. So it's thinking about what are ways that we can let the flow of the sparkling inductions, but more positive situations into our lives. Where can we find opportunities? I love this quote from Ninka Walla: if we don't have the resources, you got to get resourceful. And with that mindset shift, you're looking for more opportunities instead of I can't do that, thinking about how can I do that? What are there payment options, or is there another thing I can do that can, bring in a revenue stream? Like when you're trying to do something and you want to do something, you get creative. You don't think about what you can't do. You think about how can I accomplish this because I need to do it. And so finally, what's a small step forward that we can take to to change our mindset about ourselves? And we get another water energy card. So I think it's staying within our feelings, but really thinking about how those feelings came to be and are they true. In the research I've done about feelings, they are kind of learned behavior. It's a construct we tell ourselves based on the stimulation that we've had in the past. If, for example, you, okay, here's a good example. Like you ate guacamole and it was bad guacamole, and you literally got sick when you ate the bad guacamole. Maybe somebody used something that was too ripe, or they left it out or something. When you see guacamole, you're going to have a negative feeling towards it, but that's not necessarily true. That is what you've conditioned yourself to think about guacamole because you had a bad experience with it. So you feel, oh, guacamole, I think I'm going to be sick. But that's not necessarily true. But that one experience was so powerful. That is a story that you've told yourself about the guacamole. Or people that hate vegetables, it might have been how they were introduced to the vegetables. Like if you had boiled Brussels sprouts, maybe you Brussels sprouts and you get this feeling that it's disgusting. That was my introduction to tripe. It tasted bad. And recently I was out with a friend. I know we have a lot of food references today. I must be hungry. I was out with a friend and they're like, look, I want to order things that are from my country. Just try it. And I said, okay. And one was The Big Adventure. And she's like, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but taste it. And I tasted it and I didn't hate the flavor. For me, it was a texture thing. And it ended up being tripe. And I changed my mind towards it because it was cooked differently. I love Brussels sprouts, Crystal, but I was introduced to them like they were sauteed in butter with onions and tomatoes, and they were super flavorful. So I am team Brussels sprouts. If you hate Brussels sprouts, more for me. But again, the things that we have about certain situation is how we've conditioned ourselves to think. If you have been rejected in the past, you might give yourself a story that you're not. I love them roasted too. Oh yeah, with a honey chili glaze. Oh yeah, we're friends. Um, sorry, food tangent. But like if you have put yourself out there and been rejected and it didn't feel good, you might imprint that putting myself out there means I'm going to get rejected. It doesn't feel good. I'm absolutely worthless. I'm no good. I'm useless. And that's not true. And sometimes it is doing it again and again. And eventually you're just like, what? This is just life, how I choose to respond to that. I now look at rejection as, okay, that is not for me, or what did I learn from this? Can I do something differently? I mean, putting myself out here every day for a live, and sometimes nobody shows up. I can take that as rejection, or I can take that as maybe this wasn't a time that worked out for other people. Someone could want to catch the replay. Also take it as I have learned something every day from doing these lives. I have learned the power of the pause. I have learned to pay attention more to people's responses when I am fortunate to have people join me. And it is very exciting to get things like yes in the comments. So thank you so much for sharing that. And it's also learning to have a backup. What do I do if nobody has questions? How is that working out for me? And I think this flow is working out very well. But I could keep telling myself that it doesn't make sense to do this because nobody's ever going to show up. Nobody listens to me. Nobody cares what I say. And that's not true. It's not true because I've proven to myself over and over again when I do get guests live and I don't even know who's watching Team Replay, I have the confidence that whoever finds one of these on Team Replay, they're going to hear the thing that they needed to hear in that moment, because I think that happens so much in our lives when we're talking about allowing people in. I've had people just send me like little Instagram reels or just a message that, hey, or something like that. And I accepted it again, not because some random Instagram reel made me feel awesome, but because it reminded me of the person that I am. Yesterday, and yesterday's live, we had the Mimikyu Pokemon card. And Mimikyu is like a version of Pikachu. I don't know if I can easily find it. Hey, we have Asmara here. Awesome. Always when we're ready to receive it. This is way past your bedtime, but it's so good to see you here. So Mimikyu looks like a jankety version of Pikachu. It is some weird serpent spirit thing. And the more I think about it, it's really a creepy card because it's kind of like an imposter. And yeah, we're on day 21. I've done this for 21 days. So a lot of the times I think, because we got all these cards yesterday about like shifting Pokemon that take on the form of other things. So sometimes we take on the form of that story we're telling ourselves, or the story that society wants to tell us that you can't do this. What are you trying to do? Go out on your own or go against the norm? We can't speak up against what's happening in the world. People are going to, fire us. And I say, if you speak up and they fire you, then no, you didn't need to be working for them anyway, because they're not your people. Thank you. I'm glad this is inspiring you. So we don't need to control ourselves and put on disguises. And again, other people would say, well, that's coming from a place of privilege. And I definitely have some privilege. I was reading Kay Stoll's latest post about how people just beat up Dr. Carrie when she had criticized Brene Brown a couple of years ago. And she stood her ground and didn't accept what they had to say about her. And I'm not here to tear down anybody right now, but and she said that her issue with that was this whole courage culture. And yeah, some people can take courage because they have the privilege to, and everybody can do that, but everybody's not going to get the same consequences. As we've seen on some of the platforms out there, voices are being silenced. So if you're watching this on LinkedIn right now, our friend Warren Stapley has been shushed and shut down, and we can speak up about that as well and ask LinkedIn why they are doing this. And as Mara asked, why expend energy to labor for people who are fundamentally misaligned? To be honest, yeah. So that's a courageous thing you do, is to try and be more aligned and surround yourself with amazing people like Perkins, who you all don't know, but trust me, he's amazing. Asmara Kazmi and Crystal Carnahan. Shout outs again. Asmara is doing the it's Kill Capitalism Challenge. I know we're trying to break that down and shift new paradigms. I never remember it off the top of my head, but check that out. Crystal again is hosting an Arise retreat in Costa Rica this year. So get on both of those. They're amazing people, and you don't want to miss out on these things. This was a really fun tonight. I think we've learned a lot about where are we expending our energy? What can we realistically change? And I think the only thing we can change is ourselves and our response to situation. And by being yourself, you can inspire other people to do things. And then we can be like Tynam, is a little minnow Pokemon, dismantling capitalism. Thank you. So you can sign up. Today is the last day to get the early bird special on dismantling capitalism. I don't know when Crystal's prices change, but they're both amazing opportunities for you to take advantage of out there. Tell somebody you love them, remind them of how great they are, and if they accept it, that's awesome as well. We are not responsible for how people view themselves, but we absolutely can be kind. So I'm going to close this out with taking a moment to absorb all this and take a deep breath in. And exhale. And we'll do a trick as Mara has taught us. February 29th, that's the end for Crystal's thing as well. Take a deep breath in and breathe in again. And now exhale. I'm glad you had fun, Perkin. Let's breathe in some fun and breathe in some joy. And exhale all the ball and negative stories that we tell ourselves. Thank you all so much for joining. I had fun tonight. Really insightful comments. Give yourselves a round of applause. Tomorrow's live is 8 o'clock, and I will see you, whoever shows up tomorrow, the right people it will be. Have a fantastic evening and be well. Take care.